on, y'all? It's Sloppy Saturdays back at you guys with some more content. And today we are going to keep pushing into the NFL draft as we are 2 weeks out. So we're going to get more NFL draft content for you guys out in the next 2 weeks. Today we have kind of a unique video for you guys. We are going over 5 insane NFL draft rumors, discussing if any of these are actually possible and if a team were to do this, is it the right move? So let's get right into it. Coming into our first NFL draft rumor, and this isn't even that crazy of a rumor anymore because this player is attending the first round of the NFL draft. We were talking about Jalen Milroe going in the first round of the NFL draft. I have to say, if a team selects Jalen Milroe in the first round, I think it could be one of the biggest mistakes in NFL history. Yes, I said it. One of the biggest draft mistakes in NFL history. Now, when you look at NFL drafts in the past, yes, there's been plenty of quarterbacks with athletic ability that has busted. But I don't even think Jalen Miller at the moment is a first-round NFL draft prospect. I think anybody who thinks that is really stretching his NFL career and his college career and his capabilities. I think there is no way right now you could possibly say he's a first-round NFL draft prospect based on what you saw and based on his potential. When you look at Jalen Milroe, anybody that's fallen in love with Jalen Milroe is looking at a Lamar Jackson, looking at a Jaden Daniels, people with that athletic ability that has exploded in the NFL. But when you look at Jalen Milroe, he is so far behind those guys coming out of college. It is actually insane. You're talking about 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and if you add Kyler Murray in the mix, 3 Heisman Trophy winners that came into the NFL. Not only that, these guys were miles above in passing yards, passing stats than Jalen Milroe. Again, Jalen Milroe is an absolute mess in the passing game, completely inconsistent. When you talk about short and intermediate throws, he has no touch at all. His best touch is his deep ball. But again, and then when you look at him as a runner, I don't even think he even compares to a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray. I think his threat on the outside is his biggest capability. But again, with absolutely no threat in the passing game and the NFL being a lot faster, Jalen Milroe, they're going to take away the run game from him and make him throw, and he's not going to be able to dissect the defense. He couldn't even do it in college. A star wideout like Ryan Williams got completely lost in that offense in the back end of that season and was only relying on deep, big plays because Jalen Milroe can't consistently get him involved in these short and intermediate throws. Again, this will be one of the biggest mistakes in the NFL draft if he goes in the first round. I don't even see how it's possible. Now, if you look at Jalen Milroe and you look at his athletic capability and you say, maybe I can improve his throwing game, and you want to select him in the third round, makes sense. At least select him where his value is. Selected him in the first round, even though I don't believe in him at all. I don't think he should be selected at all. I think Jalen Milroe is not an NFL starting quarterback and will never be. But again, you want to select him in the third, fourth round, take a chance on him? Sure. In the first round? You got to be crazy. You got to be crazy. Anybody who has seen this guy be a turnover machine, not being able to dissect the defense at all, and anybody who watches college football knows that unless you have a guy that just completely thinks they could develop him, what he has shown in college football right now, he does not warrant a first-round pick at all. Now, the teams that could be selecting Jalen Milroe in the first round, maybe select him in the back of the first round, trading up their second-round pick. I have 2 that will be possibly in need of a quarterback. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously. Unless the Pittsburgh Steelers go with Aaron Rodgers, they have absolutely no plan at quarterback right now. Their plan would be to start Mason Rudolph, and we've seen as that been. So they're definitely in the market for a quarterback. The other team I could possibly see being in need of a quarterback in the back of the first round is the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, when you look at the Los Angeles Rams, they have Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is still a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. But again, what does he have left? 2, maybe 3 good years. So Jalen Milroe, I guess, would make sense. Those would be the 2 teams. But again, Jalen Milroe should not be a first-round quarterback at all. And for all the guys that are looking at Kyler Murray, like I said, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, as these running quarterbacks that have worked, keep in mind these guys were so much more advanced in college, 3 Heisman Trophy winners. And just also keep in mind when you're drafting a running quarterback, the ones that didn't work. You're looking at Trey Lance's in the first round. You're looking at Anthony Richardson in the first round. Those type of project quarterbacks that didn't work out. So keep in mind that all these running quarterbacks do work. And again, I think out of the 5 names we just mentioned, I think Jalen Milroe is by far the least appealing out of those five names. The ones that made it, the ones that bust. I don't think he's close to any of them coming out. Jalen Milroe should not go in the first round. Next up, we're talking about Abdul Carter only meeting with the top four NFL draft picks right now. He's only meeting with the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, and the Patriots. Is this the right move for Abdul Carter? 100%. Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft, in my opinion. Again, you take out positional value, he's the best player. I think he's the most can't miss guy. When you look at him, you look at a Micah Parsons, you look at a Nick Bosa, you look at a Myles Garrett, an absolute freak with speed coming off the end, a guy that's going to be an anchor, a cornerstone to your defense. And again, just like Micah Parsons, a hybrid type of player, can play linebacker and play end. I think he's going to play more end in the NFL. And yeah, I think he's really only going to go to the top four teams. Like I said, he is the best player in the draft, in my opinion. And I can't see him sliding past four. Again, I hate players skipping out on things when it comes out to combine, when it comes out to skipping out on teams. But I think it makes complete sense for Abdul Carter. I will literally take down this channel if Abdul Carter goes at the fifth pick or even below that. Like there is absolutely no chance he has to go in the top four. Now, looking at Fitz with the Tennessee Titans, I don't think he's going to the Tennessee Titans, even though I do think he should be the first pick in the NFL draft. Again, I think they're 100% going with Cam Ward. They really done nothing in the quarterback off season for them to not take a quarterback. It seems like they basically put themselves in a spot where they got to take a quarterback. I think they're going Cam Ward. Number two, I think number two with the Browns could be anything. I think it would be so scary if you paired up Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett. I think you're talking about one of the most scariest defensive duos we have possibly ever seen in the NFL. Again, they could definitely go Travis Hunter, which would be a valid pick as well. You could use Travis Hunter on defense, on offense. Again, another great talent. They could go Shedeur Sanders as well. I think that would be a mistake for them. I would way rather pair up these like elite blue chip prospects like a Travis Hunter, like an Abdul Carter, than take a Shedeur Sanders. Again, I'm not high on Shedeur Sanders, but all realms in the possibility of Abdul Carter at two. At number three with the Giants, again, when you get to 3, 4 Giants and Patriots, it depends who's really going to be there for them. I think the Giants are really still in market for a quarterback as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat Shedeur Sanders behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. But again, I think if at number three, if Abdul Carter was there, would be an absolute home run for the Giants. And at four for the Patriots, listen, if Abdul Carter falls to four, absolute grand slam for the Patriots. So again, those are the four teams that could be selecting Abdul Carter. I think this actually makes sense, even though I usually disagree with it. Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft. He's not going to fall past four, and I think it makes it that he only meets with the four teams. Now we're going with another crazy draft rumor, and it's going to surprise you guys, but I actually like this. Jets trade Brees Hall and draft Ashton Jeanty. I actually really like this move. One, this team hired a defensive head coach in Aaron Glenn. But not only that, they have one of the most explosive running quarterbacks in the NFL in Justin Fields. I think really put in one of the best running back prospects we've ever seen, Ashton Jeanty, in an offense with Justin Fields. I think that could be completely explosive. And I think it makes sense for the Jets. Now, you trade Brees Hall. Brees Hall was a guy that we also love coming out of college. Again, another guy that you could argue was a really great NFL prospect at the running back position. And they may be giving up on him a little too early, or they may just love what they see out of Ashton Jeanty. But again, I think pairing up Ashton Jeanty and Fields, and especially for a defensive head coach to take some pressure off him, I think that could be a very scary thing in the RPO game and in the NFL. And for the people who say don't draft a running back in the top 10, that's a luxury. That's if you just have that pick there. I think the Jets in the top seven, or you could say in the top 10, compared to other teams, I think they have a lot less holes than teams usually do in the top 10. And for a team like the Jets, who usually messes up top 10 draft picks, to draft a guy that's a can't miss prospect and to pair him up with a running quarterback, what they never have, I don't think that's such a bad move at all. And if you think about it, Jets are going to get capital in return, whether it's like a third and a fifth, whatever it may be for Brees Hall, to patch up their holes as well. I just think in a running offense, you can have one of the best rushing offense in the league with Ashton Jeanty and Justin Fields. And I think like I said, for a Jets team that really has messed up draft picks in the beginning, a draft pick you can't mess up in Ashton Jeanty and get an additional capital. I don't think this is a crazy rumor at all. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I think I could see the Raiders draft Ashton Jeanty. I could see the Bears draft Ashton Jeanty. Those are two teams I could really see drafting. But for the Jets, I kind of like it. Like I said, Jets don't have too many holes. a guy like Ashton Jeffrey is going to have his best years from year 2 to year 4, 5. Running backs come in and have their best years right away. And I think the Jets don't have that many holes as a top 10 team usually does. And I think with Fields, he could absolutely explode out of the gate. I actually really like this move. I think it's completely possible. Now, number 4, we have Jackson Dart going in the top 10. Do I think this is going to happen? No. Am I completely opposed to it? Also, no. And this may surprise people. Again, do I think Jackson Dart is a top 10 pick? Do I think he's worthy of being a top 10 pick? Not really. But do I think the first 2 quarterbacks going ahead of him are worthy of being top 10 picks either? No. And I think he's better than Shedeur Sanders, honestly. So if a team wants to trade in to the top 10 and not trade into a top 3 pick, I think you get a lot more value out of Jackson Dart than Shedeur Sanders. I said it time and time again. I think Jackson Dart has a little more mobility than Shedeur Sanders. I think he has a little more arm talent than Shedeur Sanders. And not only that, this guy has played in the SEC, where I think Shedeur Sanders, he played in the Big 12, where, again, Colorado towards the end of this year had to really make a statement in the Big 12. They could have really won that Big 12 championship, or at least got in the game, and they didn't. Again, I think Jackson Dart has played in a much better conference, and not only that, I think he has a little more arm talent and a little more mobility. I like Jackson Dart more than Shedeur Sanders, and if a team wanted to trade for him in the top 10, I wouldn't be completely opposed to it. We're going with in the top 10 right now. I feel like the only teams that could possibly draft Jackson Dart, I really feel like it's just only the Saints, honestly. And then the Raiders, obviously, as well. I don't think the Jets are going to draft him as much as they have been rumored to like him. Again, they signed Fields, 25 years old, got drafted in 2021. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback right now. And so I think it's really only Saints, Raiders. And then again, we talked about in the beginning of the video, if the Steelers wanted to trade up because they really are lost that quarterback right now, or if the Rams wanted to sit Jackson Dart behind Matthew Stafford, those are plausible situations as well. But right now in the top 10, I really only see it being Saints and Raiders going for Jackson Dart. And again, don't think Jackson Dart is a top 10 pick, but if you're comparing him to Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, I think he's very close to Cam Ward, and I think he's better than Shedeur Sanders, so I think it could definitely happen. At number 5, we were going with TreVeyon Henderson going in the first round. I saw something recently that people think TreVeyon Henderson is guaranteed to be a first-round pick. I don't think this at all. I think TreVeyon Henderson is a first-round talent for sure, and I think he's would go in the first round in other years. I think this is what guy does in pass protection is the best in the entire NFL draft class. This is a guy you could play on a multitude of downs just because of how well he pass protects. And we know in the modern NFL, passes more than ever. Not only that, I think he's pretty underrated as a catcher because he played alongside Quinshon Judkins this last year, who was their receiving back. But I think he's pretty underrated as a catcher, and the way he runs between the tackles and his burst. This guy could really do it all. The problem is right now in the NFL, again, we've seen how they value running backs, and there are 2 running backs in this class ahead of him. Obviously, it's Ashton Jeffrey, and I think Omarion Hampton is completely ahead of him as well. I don't think there's many people on their draft boards that have TreVeyon Henderson ahead of Omarion Hampton. So I think TreVeyon Henderson is not going to go in the first round in the NFL draft. Would I be opposed to it, though? No. Like I said, I think TreVeyon Henderson is a guy that can do it all, and I think his college resume definitely serves him to be a first-round NFL talent. But like I said, this NFL draft class is so deep. Not only the 2 guys ahead of him, there's also a lot of talent behind him as well. So, again, I don't think he's going to go in the first round NFL draft. If he did, would I be opposed to it? Definitely not. I think TreVeyon Henderson is a great running back. That wraps out this NFL draft video of these 5 rumors that, who knows, maybe they could happen. I don't think any of them are happening, but you never know. That wraps up this episode of Slappy Saturdays, and we